first I'm just gonna say my background because I think for this next question you might understand where I'm coming from because I lived in the U.S. for 10 years and then I came back here, so I'm used to, I'm mostly used to English, and I'm used to like, at least in the U.S. like there's a lot of Spanish speakers, but they understand that like English is the primary mode of communication for everything, and I think that's kind of influenced how I think about language here. And this is a disagreement of ours where I think that it would be best if like Filipinos considered like one language as a whole was be like the primary language, much in the same way that like in China, Mandarin is like the default dialect. Actually, I'm not even sure if it's like dialect or language, but in any case, it would be like Chinese people consider Mandarin to be like the main language, and then everything else is secondary. Although they can still speak it in like in their local community, but it's understood that English is the main language. Mandarin is the main language used in China. Now, the implication here being is that, I think there should be one language that should be used as the primary language instead of like, where in like if you're in NCR, it's Tagalog, and if you're in Cebu, then it's Cebuano or Bisaya in Mindanao, stuff like that. So overall, just to summarize, like I want the Philippines to be as monolinguistic as possible. So what do you have to say about that? Like, do you think it's right? Do you think it's wrong? Like, I feel like you might disagree, but I'm not sure based on the things that you've posted.
I can see where you're coming from because really it is really a question of national identity or integrity because as if we don't have this, we will collapse as a nation. So I can see where you are coming from, and many languages or countries have this is one of the issues that they raise that because they have different language, they should be independent or somewhat independent, like in the case of autonomous regions. However, our national language policy, like in Filipino, I somewhat agree to that because I see that there is a need to have a national identity because it is required or crucial in our national security because in or integrity because we can just have to separate let's say Visayas to separate, Mindanao to separate, Ilocos to separate from us. That will be chaos.
Do you think?
However,
Oh, sorry. No, keep going. Keep going.
however, we must make this policy equitable and fair, which the current policy is not doing because they are just favoring Tagalog. That's just our point. We are not saying that we should just leave it out or have our own policies per region, but rather, I am saying that we should make our laws equitable to everyone.
Okay. And I guess that's kind of one of the problems here because, there's so many different languages, whereas, like, say, even in Singapore, and like Chinese and Malay and Indian, they have much more variation in their languages than we do because, we're all Latin and we all came from Malay, but, it's still, I think most people would agree that it's mutually unintelligible between like Bisaya and Tagalog just because of like there's a bunch of different grammar differences. So, do you think our similar? Well, I'm not sure if you actually agree, but do you think we could be like Singapore, where like people speak Chinese and people speak Malay, but it's understood that English is the main language, point blank, period? Do you think that's something that can be possible here?
Possible. That we are having a national language and yet we are per region we are also teaching their regional languages. Like this is the kind of the point for mother tongue based multilingual education where in the primary years they are using the mother tongue of the kids to teach them in whatever.
All right.